Hey, Cam,
Yes, Don.
do you ever think about how crammed your trailer is when you go race?
Dude, all the time. Race cars, golf carts, jets, power wheels, and all of his toys, his little dirt bikes, his strider bikes, all that stuff. I'm crammed. But I'm sure everybody in motorsports is feeling the same way.
Well, now our audience has someone to call. They need to call Lance at lbtrailers.com. Lance is carrying over 70 motorsports haulers in stock, options from top to bottom. We always talk about looking the part in motorsports, traveling up and down the road and at the track. Now you can look the part with LB Trailer Sales. Go to online to lbtrailers.com or stop by Facebook at LB Trailer Sales. You have a friend in the trailer business, and make sure to tell them that Racers and Rental Cars sent you.
Let's put it up for the weekend warriors.
It's the Racers and Rental Cars podcast with your hosts, Top Fuel Cam, Cameron Foray, and his co-host, Mr. Top Sportsman, Don O'Neill.
Keep on till they can't ignore you. Let's put it up for the weekend warriors.
Thank you for downloading today's episode of the Racers and Rental Cars podcast, brought to you in part by MotionRaceworks.com. Stop by Motion Raceworks for all your high-performance needs. If you need to go fast, visit MotionRaceworks.com today.
What's up, West Coast Cam?
What's happening, Lieutenant Don?
Thursday in southern Indiana.
Is there any racing going on there?
In Indiana,
Actually,
yes.
I'm not going to let you answer that.
Absolutely, there's racing going on in Indiana. We're
anything virtually? Non-virtually.
Non-virtually, there's still racing going on. I saw some people racing down Green River Road today, from the Dairy Queen to the Walgreens.
I did see an article they posted online that it was on the news. I don't know where I saw it, to be honest. Probably Facebook, so it must have been true. They're talking about how all the street racers of California are taking over the California roads because there's nobody on them.
Is that what they're saying? Well, it made news last night. Chris Blair, being that we're recording on Thursday, everybody, not last night as in Friday night, but Wednesday night, Chris Blair from Gateway Motorsports Park, he was on the news over in St. Louis. Because
how'd that go?
Yeah, well, they've had, let's just say that the street racing activity in the St. Louis area has increased quite quickly. And last weekend they had a death in Texas, somebody street racing. So Gateway's trying to, Chris Blair, he's putting in all the measures to try to get it approved. Obviously this weekend, as this is dropping, Ardmore, Oklahoma, the Windmill Nationals, they are drag racing, bracket racing. I got told today that I have to make sure that I start separating. Bracket racing doesn't have fans. Drag racing does.
And you can make more money in bracket racing. Go figure.
I got a pretty good education. So, not that I didn't know that, and, me being me, I'm just going, huh? All drag racing is drag racing. No. Not today. And
not up in here.
Not up in here. Nowadays, everything is about whether or not you have fans and can control what exactly you're doing for social distancing. And
you know what's funny? Oh, man, I dropped my puzzle piece. Shoot. Anyway, you know what's funny is how many times have you heard, oh man, nobody ever come to a bracket race, that's so stupid, I wish we could get fans, I'd like to race in front of a crowd, this and that. And then now flip the side and it's like, oh yeah, no, we don't have fans, we don't do that fan thing, because if they had fans they wouldn't be racing, right?
That's it's a legitimate argument, and for any track promoter that's putting on a bracket race, it would be very easy for him to justify that he would not have, 500 spectators there. Although,
So do you classify yourself as a bracket racer or a drag racer?
See, that was where my conversation piece here going is. I had to stop and start thinking about it, and I was like, well, no, I guess you could say I'm a drag racer when I'm at national events, because we do have a few fans in the stands. In a divisional race, we don't typically have very many fans in the stands, so I'm not real sure exactly how I should classify myself.
The jury's out. We should do a poll on our social channels. Is Don a drag racer or a bracket racer?
As long as you don't have an option C, we'll probably get some good results. And so,
what would option C be? That would be another poll that we could do. What would option C be?
NDMF.
There is that.
November Delta Mike Foxtrot.
No driving.
Yep.
MFer.
That's it. That would be me. No, so it was very, very interesting. As we're recording this, Music City outside Nashville should be racing. So good luck to them. Their track promoter had a long-winded battle, and he got it approved. And so it was nice to see a lot of the racers in that part of the country talking about going to support them, and beforehand telling people, if you don't think you can comply with the rules, keep your ass at home. Don't ruin it for everybody else. And so I kind of enjoyed reading those posts.
Do you think they're really gonna? I mean, do you think? How do I want to word that? Do you think that they're really gonna be under a microscope? Like they're gonna actually send people out to check on all this stuff?
I think because of the extent of the liability, yes. I mean, because I was having a conversation with another person who's in the law arena, and he was telling me, he's like, look, it's a guideline. Everything is guidelines. We're not under martial law, right? But the problem is that when you go against the government and the guidelines, or you put yourself at risk, you're the mayor of an area and you decide to say, oh yeah, I'm going to let 1,500 people from other states come into our area, and then they have a flare-up or something, or a reported case afterwards, or whatever the case may be, you're now at risk. And there's the potential for the federal government or state government to come down and say, hey, we're not going to help you with whatever it is that you got going on, because you just didn't really want to listen. And I think that is, an underlying factor for people that they don't think about. I had a racer today who's also a successful business person tell me that he's going to stay away, and he wants to race, got a fleet of cars. But he said, he goes, my biggest fear is going to a race, getting there, getting on the property, and somebody coming in and locking the gates and saying, nope, you people are going to stay here for 14 days quarantine, and we're not going to let you go home. And that was, when he said that, I looked at him and I went, come from out of state, come into a different state, into a different area. I mean, that would be one of those who'da thunk it, but you could totally see that happening, potentially.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you never know this is all uncharted waters. I'm just interested to see what this announcement on May 4th, i.e. Monday, is going to be from our fearless leaders.
From NHRA?
Yeah.
Well, I will let you know that it's my wife's birthday on Sunday. And so
Happy birthday, Diane.
I'm pretty sure that the press release will be Glenn Cromwell, Josh Peterson, and Peter Clifford wishing my wife a happy birthday.
There you go. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what the press release is going to be.
I mean, you got friends in high places, buddy.
I know. What is I told somebody the other day? They were like, "Man, I need $1 million." I said, "I don't have it. I got a couple millionaires on speed dial, but I don't have it. Don't have it. Nope, don't have it." But no. And then the other big announcement today, as we're recording, is the awesome NASCAR schedule. You want to talk?
Yeah.
Did you see
How's
that?
I did.
How about cutting expenses, my friend?
Get them in, get them out. What about like the Bush and the truck and all that other stuff? Or what do they call it? Nationwide? I don't know.
Yeah, Xfinity Series and the Gander Outdoors. Yeah, no, they're on there, but they're not happening the same day. They're split.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, they have got some significant scheduling going on that's going to really help expenses. I think it's going to get the teams back. It's going to create content quickly, and they're going. I mean, dude, France family, whoever's over there in the boardroom, and they said, "Hey, this is what we're going to do." They're beating all the other major sports in America, in really truly in the world. They're beating them to the table, just beating it like a drum. If you don't think that their ratings right now on Fox or FX or NBC or wherever they're going to play them, FS1, dude, they're going to be through the roof. It's the only thing to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about it last week about the freaking spelling bee being on ESPN. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty exciting, I must say. Especially what was it, the 2015 spelling bee?
It was a 2015 spelling bee.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I saw last night the cornhole tournaments were back on.
That's a little better than spelling bee, but still.
Well, I'm over the moon excited about NASCAR and what they're doing and how they're creating. And if anybody has any doubt in their mind where the greatest states about racing is, it is in South Carolina and North Carolina, because look at all the racing that's going to get done in like a matter of about 14 days. And it's going to be in the Carolinas, which I also want to bring up the Miller family and Rhett Gardner and those guys down there at Darlington Dragway. So I'm looking forward to Keith Berry and the Woodstock stuff that's going to go on. That's going to be another epic. That's going to be the first, like, if you're going to say outside of bracket racing, that's going to be the first one that's going to kick off, and then Donald Long's event that'll follow up a week later down in Orlando. Those are going to be the two that are going to kick off the radial world, if you will, racing with Pro Mod and Radial versus the World. But now it feels good. It feels good to get excited about going back racing, because then that means you can get excited about working on sponsor deals and taking your sponsorship decks that you've typically used in plans for 12 months of fiscal spending, throw that right in the shredder, just start over from scratch. I mean, it's going to, you better be creative going into 2021, because 2020 has, man, it is the year of a dumpster fire for sure.
Yeah, that is for sure. But with that segue, I'm going to say, let's bring in another. There's drag racing, there's bracket racing, but there's also other forms of two cars going down a straight and narrow quarter mile, per se. Let's bring somebody on the show that has a little something to do with nostalgia drag racing, because I don't know what to classify that, because those events bring a shitload of people to them. So it'll be very interesting to see what they think, if it's drag racing or what type of racing that it is.
They're all old.
They're all old. Hey, I did it for a while. You should, don't knock it till you try it. You should go to the Hot Rod Reunion and whatnot one day.
It says nostalgia in the front.
Well, they actually don't like to use the word nostalgia anymore. Well, our guests, I guess, can maybe elaborate on that. But they now use
historic.
No, what are they? It's I think it's just
Museum?
like Nitro Funny. Actually, let's just call him up and ask him, because he's pretty much driven everything under the sun. He's been around the sport for a very long time. His family started him in the sport. His dad was a funny car driver. He's a funny car driver, along with dragsters. I don't know if we'll have to ask him if he's driven a door car. He's driven real race cars. So we'll find out if he's driven anything else.
Then I know he's driven a door car.
Let's ring up James Day. the world famous James Day and see what he has to say. James, are you there?
I'm here, guys.
What's happening?
Not much. How are you guys doing?
Great. Welcome to our dumpster fire.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I figured you'd be right at home here, with us lowlifes,
Well, James, I mean, Cam, he you got to give it to a guy that allegedly has professor in front of his name and teaches at Cheetos College. He did an awesome introduction for you there to bring you into our audience. And in typical classic Cam fashion, that's what he delivered. Do us a favor, James. Tell our audience give us our 30-second elevator pitch about you and your journey into the world of drag racing.
Dude, it was pretty good, okay? But I'm sure James can talk a little bit about himself a little bit better than I can, but let's hear it.
I grew up in the sport of drag racing. My dad, Richard Day, drove funny cars from 1968 to 1986. Part of that time, he was partners with Chuck Worsham. And so I grew up with Chuck and Del. So, I was kind of screwed from the beginning. All through junior high and high school, I'd go on the road with Chuck and Del and be a crew guy. And then out of high school, I started with Jack Wyatt and then Gary Densham, and then started driving A-Fuel cars, A-Fuel dragsters.
I saw that picture you posted, actually, I don't know, was it today or something, the Texas Stagecoach?
Yeah, with Brooks Brown.
Yeah, very nice.
So, those were good times, man. And then really just kind of bounced around from seat to seat where I could find a ride here and there. So from front motor top fuel cars, big show funny cars, nostalgia funny cars, wherever I could land, that's where I went.
What's the most favorite thing that you've ever driven? Because you've driven a lot.
I mean, there's nothing like the big show funny car, but the fuel altered was awesome, and we got to win the March meet last year in the Tramp fuel altered, the wingless, a true wingless classic style fuel altered, and that was awesome.
If anybody's ever seen that car, that thing is badass. The guys that own those things are awesome, and I love the fact that they put the skinny front wheels on that thing. And I saw a picture of James, and he's like 3/4 track, and the thing just the front wheels are like cranked. I'm like, oh yeah, hang on.
Yeah, it's a handful ride. The front motor top fuel cars were awesome to drive because you're only on 13 inches of tire back there, and you're running almost 270 miles an hour.
Yeah, no thanks. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah, no firewall, no nothing. It's just fire right in the helmet. So, the nostalgia class has got a lot of exciting stuff out there, but there's still nothing like that big show funny car.
Nice.
Now, so when I was doing research about you, James, you got your big show funny car background with Paul Smith, correct?
No. I started with Dave and Linda Smith, DLS Motorsports, with Chris Nance Tuning. And from there, we drove that car a couple of years, and then the economy collapsed. And then I went to John Lindsay with the Impulse car for quite a few years, and then ended up driving for Steve Pfluger. So
there you go. The world famous Steve Pfluger.
Yes. Yeah, awesome. What an honor.
Absolutely.
So are you working? So what are you working on right now? Where are we at in your drag racing career? As we're all sitting around here with our thumbs up our fourth point of contact. What are you working on out there on the West Coast?
Well, this year I teamed up with Jim Broom with Spike Gore Tuning, the Speed Sport Nostalgia Funny Car. So we were.
Do you call it a nostalgia funny car?
I call it a nostalgia funny car because I want them to stay nostalgic.
Okay. What's the other? I don't know if you heard us before we dubbed you in there, but what isn't there something they're calling them something else now?
It's the Heritage Series, so they're Heritage Series funny cars. I don't know. More and more we're letting the rules get a little lax, and they're starting to look like big show cars all of a sudden.
Yeah, there's some that look. Yeah.
See, I was not. He said heritage. That was not far off with my word of historic and
you were close. You were close.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Hey, Don, they still haul ass, and they actually run nitromethane.
Well, I mean, look, drag racing, and that's cool.
No, it's not. You just said that.
No, I said somebody else said that. I said somebody else told me that there was a difference. There was bracket racing and there was drag racing. So I didn't say I agreed with that. I just told you what I was told.
Oh, I got you.
That's it. So now that you're out there driving on the Heritage Series, how far from your mind? Because you're what? You're in your mid 30s now.
40.
You're 40.
Yep.
So at what point does James Day look over and go, okay, that big show dream is, it was laced with CBD and lots of Coors Light.
I wish we could get some CBD sponsorship. That'd be great. Anyway,
That's exactly, man. I wish we could bring the CBD people in. It's a pretty far. It'd be wishful thinking at this point for me to think I could go back to the big show without, millions of dollars in sponsorship. I give Cameron, all the credit in the world for hustling as hard as he's doing it, and he's doing it, man. He's made it happen. But for the average guy to do the big show anymore, those days are just about over because, with the advent of social media and stuff, companies are finding cheaper ways to advertise. So
absolutely.
We do a better job or bring something more to the table to get these people to come spend money with us again.
Now, the team that you were with prior to wrapping everything up, that was in what, 2011?
12, yeah.
12. So what has that team moved on to do? Is all their equipment setting? Did they scuttle the team? What actually is do you have a door opening, that whether it's a small crack like the hairline one on the top of Cameron's head, or what do you have going?
Well, Steve Pfluger passed away, and Jason Rupert bought up all the assets to that. So we're all wishing Jason a good luck up there in his endeavors with the big show. I'm sure he's going to do awesome. But, all it takes anymore is you got to be able to write that check. If you want to get back in the driver's seat, there's plenty of teams out there that'll build another team, or they'll do whatever they got to do to get funding in, because funding's tough to come by right now, even at the big guys, the DSR, JFR, Coletta, they're all still scrambling to find additional funding.
Yeah, that's the tough part. And, and even in the nostalgia world, I mean, you can elaborate on this a little bit, like, cause I drove nostalgia for a couple of years. I think it's an awesome class, or heritage, whatever Don wants to call it. But they still run, historic. They still run really good. My father-in-law owns a team. He runs pretty hard in the Heritage Series as well. And but they've spent some serious cash over there too. Like, if you want to be a driver, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, James, but we're talking, they want $7,000 or, $5,000 to $10,000, somewhere in and around there, just to rent a car for a weekend.
Yeah, you're right, man. It's these guys are going through 3 and 4 motors a weekend, burning up cylinder heads and pistons, and unfortunately it's got the nostalgia name to it, but we've let the rules kind of get away where all of a sudden you've got a supposedly 1968 Camaro running 550 when I think the national record in 1978 was 590 something. So now we've got these aerodynamic bodies and stuff coming in at 40 inches of overhang, which they never had back then. Computers, it's basically like an alcohol car, but on nitromethane.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, and that's the hard part. I mean, yes, we did kind of maybe talk a little bit about how those events pack the stands, but my question, I mean, I've always kind of had this in the nostalgia world. How do you convert those 20,000 people in the stands or 15,000 people in the stands to dollars? Because generally, like, if you go to an nostalgia event, the clientele is like, your demographic is more so in the range of like 40 to 70, right? It's not the 18 to 25 demographic that everybody wants. So yeah, sure that there's a ton of people in the stands, but you're not going to get somebody like, Monster Energy or somebody like that to come in, because they're not marketing to a 75-year-old man that has been in the sport forever and is going to be there anyways. So I wish that would convert, because the nostalgia stuff puts on a really good show. I mean, it's side-by-side racing. There's blow-ups every now and again. I mean, it's exciting. But I don't know how you convert that into sponsorship dollars. And that's why I kind of moved on to myself personally, went from the nostalgia world to the alcohol dragster world, because I was able to bring that money that I was getting to, the sponsors wanted the people in the stands. They wanted that demographic. So, that's the tough part.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's it's a tough call, no matter what. And if you're in a bracket car, a nostalgia car, a big show car, what's the dollar amount you got to bring to run that? What's the company going to get in return?
Right. Exactly. And then that's the thing, that the dollar amount to drive these cars is getting so high that, like you said, it's just priced itself out of contention, unless you have, some personal business or something like that you can bring behind you. But, we'd all do it if we could too. So.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's and so it's a catch-22. You can be a driver that maybe you make 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 events, and you've got $20,000 a weekend to bring from a company. You might qualify, you might not. So how much TV time or what are you giving the company in return at that $20,000? That's still a lot of money. But
right.
What are you going to get? How are you going to give them 20, 25, 30 grand in return back in advertising?
Yeah, because if they're giving you that kind of cash, they want 90,000 in return or 100,000 in return.
Double your investment.
Yeah.
So James, you're saying a lot when it comes to the marketing world, and you're talking. So tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you get your education or exposure factor? Where did you get the gift of understanding what it takes as far as sponsorships and marketing packages go?
I grew up in the sport, and so being around Chuck and Dale Worsham and watching them get their big break with Checker, Sucks, and Cragen, and just being a fly on the wall with a lot of these people. I got to work for Schumacher Racing and see how the Army deal was put together, and the Brute deal, and Matco Tools, and all that stuff. I got to learn a lot there. And then I've got a marketing guy that helps me, and you want to drive so bad, you got to learn this. You got to learn this side. It's the win on Sunday, sell on Monday thing's gone. So what else can you do to bring exposure to the sport outside of just television, outside of just the standard, everyday deal? So, it's just been years of beating your head against the wall, unfortunately, and sometimes you come up with a little bit of money here and there. And, thankfully for me, I've been able to sell myself on being able to drive the car and work on the car, promote the car, and just kind of be an all around guy. And then mainly just make sure they know that I'm going to take care of their stuff, because it's more than likely, like in the big shows, an underfunded team, you can't just set it on fire every run by legging it to the finish line. So
right, that's like guys like James and I. We try to do our best to try to pride ourselves on not necessarily driving with a light foot, but driving with a light foot, because you have to respect. A lot of times we don't have the funding to go out there and just throw 7 rods out of it every run. So we try to instill that into people that hey, we're gonna treat this stuff like it's ours. So.
Well, hold on, wait a minute. So, you're 110 pounds. I don't think you get to use the phrase light foot. I mean, you only have a foot. I mean, I don't know that you can you don't get to use an adjective to describe your foot.
Why?
Because I've got some pretty nasty, gnarly videos of you throwing 7 rods out the side of a motor.
This is also true, but
I'm just saying. I'm not pointing fingers.
Because nitromethane.
Hashtag because nitromethane. Hashtag
I didn't say that it
foot.
doesn't happen.
That's gonna be trending tomorrow.
Yeah.
Every post I make tomorrow for 24 hours is gonna have hashtag light foot. Followed up by hashtag not Cameron.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. James, what do you do for a day job?
Work as an electrician, man. So I got a good, my best friend growing up all through elementary school took pity on me and taught me the trade. So I'll be in an attic and get a phone call that says, hey, man, can you be on an airplane and come to this event? Come drive for us this weekend. So, yeah, thank God for having a regular day job, because I wouldn't have any way of paying bills.
So are you considered an essential employee in the state of California?
But we haven't stopped working, man. Thank God.
Yeah, see, that's the difference between you and Cam. Cam's not an essential employee. He's teaching auto body online. Okay,
Good gig if you can get it.
Again, I mean, I'm speechless at the number of things that just draw attention to be red flags to the whole situation. The list is long. I could keep going for a while. We could do a whole show on the things that are wrong with you being an online auto body professor at Cheetos College.
Hey, man. What a time to be alive is all I got to say.
All right, so James, let's talk about personal goals then, because you're 40 years old, right? So you're 40. Now you're 40 years old. What do you see, like, I mean, legitimate, right? So, like, I hate it when people say, "Oh, what do you want to do?" Oh, I'd like to win the world. Okay, dude. You and every other mother scrubber has got an NHRA license. Anyway, how about we get some realism here? What's a goal? First off, let me back up. How long can you think you can keep wheeling these museum funny cars?
This fucking guy.
I mean, you got guys out there like Gary Denson that's well into his 70s, but then again, he owns it. He'll drive one. If I can find a ride, I'm going to stay out there, but you got more and more people every day paying to drive these things. So, I mean, my time's numbered, I'm sure. It is what it is. As the dollar amount goes up to run these cars, owners need help. I understand that. So, but we're having a lot of fun right now. My wife, Eileen's still driving the 7.0 Pro Killer Crowder car. And I'd love to see her move up some classes, and so she can try to realize her dream.
Does she have aspirations to do? I know this is a side topic, but I always wondered that.
Yeah, she would love to go, to the pros, but it's the same battle that, you and I have. Thankfully I got started a little bit earlier than you did, and I could do it on, being a crew guy and a wheelman and a promotional guy. You're still doing it the same way. So, at this point, we're being realistic on everything and just enjoying what we got. But I would definitely love to see her get into a top alcohol dragster, alcohol funny car, and, at least run up the ranks as far as she can.
Thank you for downloading today's episode of Racers and Rental Cars podcast, brought to you by MotionRaceworks.com. Stop by MotionRaceworks.com for all of your high performance needs. If you need to go fast, MotionRaceworks.com. Hey, Cam.
Yes, Don.
Do you ever think about how crammed your trailer is when you go race?
Dude, all the time. Race cars, golf carts, jets, Power Wheels, and all of his toys, his little dirt bikes, his Strider bikes, all that stuff. I'm crammed. But I'm sure everybody in motorsports is feeling the same way.
Well, now our audience has someone to call. They need to call Lance at lbtrailers.com. Lance is carrying over 70 motorsports haulers in stock, options from top to bottom. We always talk about looking the part in motorsports, traveling up and down the road and at the track. Now you can look the part with LB Trailer Sales. Go online to lbtrailers.com or stop by Facebook at LB Trailer Sales. You have a friend in the trailer business, and make sure to tell them that Racers and Rental Cars sent you. Okay, so let me be ignorant. I'm going to assume when you say 7.0 dragster, that means it's a front engine dragster that runs in a 7.0 index?
Yes, with no electronics.
No electronics at all. All done by foot.
And it's front engine or rear engine?
Front engine. 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's a badass little red.
So you don't really like your wife much?
I love her. She's a better driver than I am.
Really? So
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna. Okay, so like, are we talking like old school nostalgia slingshot? She's sitting with the rear end between her legs.
Yes. I'll send you a
Absolutely.
picture of it, Don, while we're talking. I'll
No,
find it.
I'm out,
And-
dude. I'm out.
She
I'm
wheel
out.
raced it at 200.
Say
Have
what
you ever
now?
seen? You know the company Crower. Obviously, they have that
Yeah,
killer
yeah.
Crower
Yep.
front engine car.
Yep.
That's it.
That's her.
That's her.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So long time ago, James, back in IHRA days, I was doing some appearances up in Michigan, and it was before, I want to say it was before the Milan event, and we're talking like early 2000s. And I was at the same event with Terry McMillan, and he was driving the Instigator alcohol funny car on the IHRA side. And he's like, come on over here and climb in. And I climbed in his car. They lowered the body, and I was like, yep, let me out. I'm done. Yep. Got no. He's like, what? I'm like, this thing is sitting between my legs, and it
Okay,
could blow up. Yeah, I'm out. I'm out.
I just had a pretty good fire in the speed sport. At least it had a firewall.
Yeah, no. So, and I think that just, again, I'm, even at that point in my life, I had had enough bad things happen. I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't really need to push the envelope here. I mean, that's, you got 9 lives and I've used up 8. This is no reason for me to be going on this one. Okay, so your wife, so that means top dragster is not like, that's like beneath your wife, right? Because she's like, I'm driving a front engine dragster going 200 miles an hour, driving top dragster. Yeah, it's just a lateral move. That's not something that she would be interested in.
She's a racer like me. She likes to drive. She likes the competition. She likes to put on wind lights, man. She's a true badass race car driver.
Now, did she get her start in the sport, or was she somebody who's like, oh, this is cool, I think I want to do this?
Her father took her to a drag race, Pomona, and she fell in love with it, and she took it all on by herself. She went to Holly School. She went out and hustled rides and hustled deals. I mean, she literally did it herself.
So what kind of arguments are we having? We're gonna get back to your goals in a minute, I promise. But what kind? I mean, what kind of? Because look, I'm tired of the Angie and Cam arguments. They're ridiculous. I mean, there are two people that neither one of them can ride rides at Disneyland, and they're arguing. It's just not even freaking worth it. Anyway, so what kind of arguments are we having about on track performances that go on over in your house?
You just try to keep it supportive, man. I mean, we all have good days, bad days, and I want to see her hold up the trophy, more than I want to see myself. So it's all positive, and that's part of marriage, man. If the person's down, you got to pick them up. Either way, so it's actually been awesome because I've never really dealt with a loved one driving a race car like my mother did, and watched my dad go through fires and being burned, and I never understood like the nervous side. And so now when she goes up there, now I get it, and she does that for me too. So it's been exciting, and it's actually been really, really awesome.
So wait, you're telling me that you haven't gotten back to the trailer? No. You're at the end of the racetrack. You're getting out of the car. She's coming up to you. You just, you did something knuckleheaded, whatever. And the phrase, "What the hell did you do that for?" That hasn't come out. You turned it red. What the hell? And that's no. Those conversations don't happen.
No, never. She knows I'm going to do something dumb. Driving a fuel altered, or the funny car, or, I'm gonna do something stupid. That's just my nature, So, no, she's been great, super supportive, and I'm doing my best not to screw things up for her. So
I like it. Little humble pie there going on. Yeah, because that doesn't. Don't get me wrong. I got one hellacious supportive wife, but there was a span in 2017 that I turned it red first round like 5 times by like the spread was like no more than 3 thou, and she was livid. Like she was, and my wife does not drive. She does not. She's not a drag racer. She's just, she does it with me, and she's like, I don't understand. How about you like, try to let it be green? I was like, yeah, that'd be an awesome thing to do, huh?
So over there going, this is horse shit.
We got some good ones. I give it back, kill the tree and then give it back at 200 miles an hour because trying to take it too tight. Yeah, what'd you go and do that for? Yep. Thanks, babe. Oh, yeah. No. Love it. Okay, let's get back to your goals. So,
All right.
So we if the phone rings, yeah, you're in. You're going to drive a big show car. But if not, what's a goal? Like, what's your goal for? Well, what would have been your goal for?
What would have been 2020?
Yeah. So let's move on to 2021. What was your goal to start out the year for 2020?
We wanted to run the UNFC Funny Car Series, the United Nostalgia Funny Car Series, and that's run by Bucky Austin. So we wanted to go up there and try to kick Bucky's ass, which is a tough, tall order because him and Bobby Cottrell are bad to the bone. And a lot of the other guys up there, Cameron's father-in-law, Boychuk, he's a bad man in the class. There's a lot of them. You got Eddie Knox. Holy cow. So we wanted to run that. We wanted to run the NHRA Heritage Series and really just go up there and put our best foot forward. We got Spike Gore of Gore Fuel Systems tuning the car, and Jim Broom's got awesome stuff, awesome equipment, and a great group of guys. And, just go see how many wind lights we can turn on. So,
and for people like Don that don't follow it, he's driving a pretty badass red, so he's got a chance.
Who's got a chance?
James.
Oh, I was like, I didn't say he didn't have a chance, jackass.
No, I'm just saying he's in a perfectly capable car.
Oh, okay. Well, I was
to achieve those goals.
I was going to tell him, look, you don't have to talk about Boychuk being a badass because he doesn't listen to the podcast.
You don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a lot of money, James, but I got $1. I'd bet you $1. No. Anyway, all right. So let's talk about future then. So that's a goal. I mean, we all have them, right? To start, where's your goal? Where's your goal in life? At what point are we making a change? And it's okay. This helmet bag, this fire suit, this nonsense. I don't need it anymore. I'm moving on. And do you see that in your future to, fully turn on for support for your wife, or is there a plan for you both to just be like, yeah, we're just going to do something in motorsports, but we're not going to chase this silly holding onto the steering wheel and carrying a suit bag everywhere?
I grew up in this sport. I was 3 weeks old when I went to my first drag race at Orange County Raceway, and it's all I know. It's who I am. It's who I wanted to be. And so I'm going to chase it as a driver as long as I can. And at the same time, be supportive of Eiley and the goals that she has. But, I would love to the only 2 cars I really haven't driven that I want to drive is I haven't driven a back-motored professional Top Fuel car, and I haven't driven a Pro Mod. So that would be the Dora car you talked about. So I do want to add Dora car to the list, but it better be a 200-mile-an-hour plus wild ride.
I'm down with that. Yeah. All right.
Now you have his attention.
No, I mean, at one time I had and here I say this, right? I thought I had this aspiration that I wanted to be a Top Fuel driver. And then I was like, nah, I'm good. and it's I don't, there's something about today's motorsports landscape in the last decade Yeah, and I probably could even shorten that up and say in the last 5 years, but most certainly within the last decade, has changed so much in not the racetrack, not the cars. It's changed in the personnel. It's changed in the business plan. It's changed in the racing association body. It's changed in the aspects of deliverables, the value proposition, things that have changed so drastically that when you legitimately sit down and look at it, you go, there's just no freaking way. You're a round peg in a square hole. And it just changed. It changed the way I look at where I want to go, what I want to do. Absolutely. Pro mod, totally I would be in. Pro stock, totally I would be in. Worrying about driving a fuel funny car or a top fuel car, it's like moving back to the city of Chicago. It's just not happening. It's not. It's just, I love my daughters. I love my wife, but we joke. It's like, what would it take to move back to Chicago? A lot of commas and zeros, and that's not happening.
Yeah, man. I think we've kind of lost the fact that, or the aspect that this is supposed to be entertainment, and not just putting rocket ships down the racetrack that for 1,000 feet or whatever at millions of dollars. We got to do something to keep the fans in the stands. The burnouts, like Jungle Jim used to do, and Force back in the day, and the side by side pedal fest, smoking the tires, and the drivability of the cars where guys could do that. And it's got to be exciting for these people to want to sit in the grandstands and spend their money. And I think we've kind of maybe lost track of that a little bit. Because if people are excited about going to the race, they're excited about brand identity and all these things that sponsors are dying to do, because they always want to reach that next demographic. You can't just sell golf clubs to golfers. You're trying to get new people to go golfing.
Right.
And that's exactly right. And it couldn't be. I almost want to say at a certain point, and we've talked about it on the show before, and I probably sound like a scratch record with it, but when we went through the economic downturn, 07 to 10 and so forth, and NASCAR kind of had a reset in their business model, and I think at that time that would have been, I'm going to flip-flop them. It was either IRL or F1 or IndyCar. One of the two ended up being absorbed and so forth. And so everybody's going through these resets in their business models. And for whatever reason, we never really did. And when I say we, meaning collective in the world of drag racing, I don't really feel like it went through a reset. When you still get numbers thrown around that it's $125,000 for a race weekend at some of the big teams, and it takes $4 million a year to run an operation. That's not little money. And
no.
When you're talking about Fortune 500 companies that only spend 2 to 3% of annual sales on advertising and marketing, and you're going to walk on in and try to suck up their entire budget or 3/4 of their budget because you want $4 million a year. And that's we've just kind of, I don't know. I almost want to use the phrase that we got a little big for our britches.
Absolutely. I mean, here's a prime example, and I use this one a lot, is look at how popular monster trucks are. The kids love it. The fans love it. And you've got guys like Todd LeDuc that's sponsored by Monster Energy Drink. And you've got sponsors that come in there and the money that people spend to go see those things. Why? Because it's exciting. You don't know what's coming next. The guy might do a backflip. He might be on 2 wheels. He might be on the front 2 wheels. You don't know. Motorsports is exciting, or is supposed to be exciting, because of the unknown. If you thought that two drivers were going to go down a straight line and they were going to hold hands at the finish line and everybody was going to have rainbows and Skittles and life was awesome every run, it wouldn't be exciting, right? If you thought both cars could smoke the tires, one could catch fire, the other guy's trying to bounce himself off the guardrail like they used to do, that's exciting, and that puts people in the stands. So, and if we have people in the stands, we have companies that want to spend money because they want after those people. That's how you advertise. So, I think if we focused a little bit less on the hardcore trying to set national records every run and, penalizing people for oil downs, even though we use the TV coverage for the fires, the explosions, we use all that stuff, but yet we're penalizing the teams. What does that mean? That means you cost them more money. So it just, I think we're just a little lost right now on how to keep fans in the stands and how to bring sponsors in.
Oh, no, for sure. That's like I grew up, you talk about growing up in the sport. I grew up around the Quick 8 days of match racing, of, door slammers, fast door slammers, Top Sportsman when it was coming up in the early years of Pro Mod in the South. And that's what packed the stands. You talk about places like Piedmont Dragway in North Carolina with big dog events where you literally, if you were not inside the racetrack at 3:30 on Big Dog Night and you weren't getting in, I mean, it's like fire marshal comes and shuts them down. Yeah, I mean, there were some of the most wildest shows ever. And that's what it was, because you don't know what's going to happen. And people are going to see some fast cars. You're going to see some hood scoops go launching. You might see a wreck. And, I mean, that was the draw to it. And you're absolutely right about Monster Jam. There was a time that I thought IHRA, when they were obviously owned by Feld, that I thought we were going to get to the point where Feld was going to try to own fuel teams and make it a book show and so forth. And I thought that could have potentially worked. I think that the Monster Jam business model works from city to city and, pit shows and everything else. I think you're absolutely right. Are we racers or are we entertainers? Well, I think those are one and the same. We have to have our own brand. We have to, you have to find people that can, associate with you, or they resemble you, or they see something about you that they want to be like, or how they grew up, or whatever the case may be. And I feel like things like that have actually fallen to the wayside, and we've kind of lost that. We've lost the, parking lot displays of shaking hands, kissing babies, which that'll probably never happen now after Corona came to town. But,
now we need a new what do they call that saying?
Corona came to town? Tagline? What are you going on?
Signing, kissing babies and shaking hands.
Yeah.
Now it's maybe elbow bumps and what's ups.
Yeah, because you're not going to be kissing babies and shaking hands, for sure, and which is ridiculous. I'm sorry, but nonetheless, I'm not getting off on that tangent. None at all. But I think you're spot on, James. I think you really are with that, and I wish you all the best. You and the wife, I think that's awesome. You guys race together, support each other. You're out here living the dream, regardless of whether it's on the big stage or at the regional level. It makes people want to like you, follow you, and whether you've got 1,000 people following you or 100,000 people following you, you're being impactful in today's age. So kudos to you and the wife.
Thank you very much for having me on. And man, you love the real racers. The guys that do it for the love of this deal. The Racers rental car deal is awesome. I'm glad to be a part of it.
All right. Well, before you leave, I'm not going to let Cam shut this show out like he did last week. Bastard got rid of our guest before we even got our parting shots in. So, James, and I will not assume that you've listened to any of our shows, but every guest has got to answer 2 questions before they go out the door. The first one is, you get to send one Christmas card to one person in motorsports, alive or dead. Who's it going to?
It's Dale Poldy is my hero, and I got to drive for my hero, and he's still a mentor to me today. So that man deserves a Christmas card.
Shut up!
Nice.
You got to drive for Dale Paldy?
Yeah, man.
I'm actually the only other guy that's won in the War Eagle.
Dude, I used to have a War Eagle poster as a kid. I kid you the hell not. The handlebar mustache that Dale Paldy had and in the yellow War Eagle. Oh, my God, dude. Hell yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, what an honor to win. Poldy got sick with valley fever, and he called me to come drive the car. And we got to bring him back a trophy when he was at his weakest point there, man. And that was about as special as you can get. He was always my childhood hero.
Absolutely. That's badass. See, I like that. That's got to be way better than the WTF card. Way better. All right, James, you get to send one WTF card to anybody in motorsports. Who's it going to?
Oh, God. About all the pros.
Hey.
Yeah, can I send it just to the NHRA?
Yes.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's been done, but you can.
I think they need one more at least.
That is the first we'll say that is the first either person or association or group that has received more than one WTF card on Racers and Rental Cars.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, man. I sure wish they would back up just a bit.
Well, that could be a poll that we could probably have some social media interaction with. Engagement numbers would probably go up really high for that one.
Let's
James, thank you very much for coming on the show. And hell, after having you on, we're probably gonna have to figure out how to get your wife on one night, and see if we can increase her promotional value. And now that I know that she drives for Crowder, I'll have to text Lewis tomorrow and say, "Hey, man, I didn't know this. Why didn't you tell me?"
Yeah, man. She's way better looking to look at back and forth there. So,
Well, dude, seriously, the bar's not that high. It's Cam and me. I mean, I'm just saying. Okay. I mean, seriously, the bar is not freaking high. Okay. I mean,
look at the poor guy. The guy hasn't had a haircut. In like 4 months. The poor bastard.
Look, Cam can think whatever he wants. Jack Frost, he outkicked his coverage drastically, and dude, I outkicked the stadium when I got my wife. So I'm just, the bar's not that high, James. I mean, seriously, if you got a labradoodle over there somewhere in Cali, that's probably higher up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm thankful she took pity on me. That's for sure.
Well, hopefully I tell everybody that I have great insurance, and I make sure that my wife keeps taking the same medication she was taking when I met her, because I don't want her waking up one day going, "What the hell am I doing with this guy?"
Right.
James, thanks for coming on the show, sir, and hopefully we will cross paths somewhere in this world after Corona decides to go on a vacation.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
No
Thanks,
problem.
James.
Thank you, James. And I'm sure we will be having a Corona at some point in time soon. So we'll see you then. Thanks,
right.
James.
So first up, that's first for us to get a twofer. NHRA got 2 WTF cards in the history of Racers and Rental Cars. And, man, that's badass. He got to drive for Dale Paldy. That's pretty freaking
Hell yeah.
cool.
Dude, I told you, the guy's driven everything, and he's a hell of a driver. He's taught me a lot behind the wheel. So,
Dude, I kid you not, as a kid, I had a freaking war. I mean, I'm sorry. When I was growing up, I mean, I was not a huge John Force fan. I mean, just wasn't. But I was a freaking ridiculous Dale Paldy fan as a kid.
That's cool.
Who makes a yellow car look that good? And I bet it wasn't even considered yellow. I'm sure it's probably had like some off-the-wall orange colored name or something to it.
There you go.
But nonetheless, so here for our audience who did not hear last week and reached out to us about our Christmas card and WTF card for Mark Rebellis, we did shoot that. I shot that this week. We had a quick call for it, and it'll be out on social media, and you will probably see it very soon. But you totally need to tune in for that one. So when you see it pop up on your social media feed, whether it's Instagram or over on Facebook, make sure to give a listen, share away, give it a like. And Cam, why don't you do all the business there? And I'm done. It's been a rough week. I'm trying to lick my wounds from my horror stories, put my race car back together, and get ready to head back north to the big hub dyno.
There you go. Just make sure you bring your flex plate bolts with you. But with that being said, thanks to James again, and we always want to thank our sponsors that help make this all possible. So Motion Raceworks, go get yourself some parts, guys. MotionRaceworks.com. If you guys want to buy a trailer to put all those parts that you're going to buy from Motion Raceworks into a trailer, you better go hit up Lance at LB Trailers. And PDS, it's it's data time, so you need to get yourself dialed in and soup up those race cars while we're waiting around. So, and again, if you get hot or cold, maybe we should do tank tops. I don't think Don will look good in a tank top, but if you're looking for a hoodie, a t-shirt, or anything of that nature, hat, something like that, be sure to check out racersandrentalcars.com so Don can pay his gas bill. And finally, Voice America, we appreciate you allowing us to do this. So with that, I need a beer. See you
later.
Thank you for listening to the Racers and Rental Cars podcast. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Motion Raceworks, Performance Data Systems, Streetway Marketing and Media, and Stupid Fast Racing, and racersandrentalcars.com.